Hi everybody, Falcha. Welcome to this little live today, which for me is really just a burst of inspiration. I know that going live on Substack, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the reason I have come live is because I want to share this inspiration for the week, which comes in the form of an oracle card. And going live and doing a video is the easiest way for me to do this. It's also out of my comfort zone. So it's always good just to have a little edge to these things as well. So what I did before pressing the live button is I just tuned in to the energy this week and I pulled a card from the Celtic goddess oracle for us, to guide the week ahead. And the card that I pulled is Maeve. So Queen Maeve, also a sovereignty goddess. And this is from the beautiful Celtic goddess oracle it's by Judith Shaw. So what could Queen Maeve offer us as an oracle for the week ahead? So we know that Maeve is a warrior queen of the kingdom of Connacht in the west of Ireland. But Maeve is also a very old sovereignty goddess, so a goddess of the land. Maeve Lachjarrig, so the goddess Maeve of the red-sided, was a goddess of Tara. Tara being the seat of the High Kings of Ireland, right? All ancient roads in Ireland led to Tara. It's an incredibly important place. And Maeve was the goddess deeply associated with that place. And no king was able to rule Tara, or to lead Tara would be a better word than rule, particularly in these times that we're in, to guide Tara, who was not married to Maeve. So Maeve's name means she who intoxicates. And this is likely, elucidates this marriage of the divine feminine, the sovereignty goddess, with the king, right? The king represents the culture and the people. The goddess represents land and nature, also the feminine and masculine within. And so Maeve ruled or guided or led, Tara with the king over and over and over again. And the king that I actually spoke about this recently on the Full Moon Fairy Tale Ceilidh, where we explored the story of the Inner Grail, where Maeve was married to Cormac MacArt, right? And Cormac MacArt was a really divine king who practiced the Fear Flahaman, the Prince's Truth. He was a really good discerning king. And that's why Maeve gave him permission to guide and lead with her. And how Maeve did this was by offering a wedding libation. That's where likely, she who intoxicates comes from, right? They had this Spanish Rigi, this wedding feast of kingship, where she would offer the libation, as a symbol of the union. And in that story as well, I spoke to 3 colours of sovereignty. So, in early Ireland, and I learned this from Muireann Ní Bhreolcóin, who was my lecturer in Celtic studies many, many moons ago, that there's 3 colours of sovereignty, right? So the first is Dunla, and I had these 3 colours of sovereignty as Maeve's Ban Illy, her poetess seers in the story. So we have Dunla, which is brown sovereignty, right? So the earth. Then we have Gurmla, which is blue sovereignty, which is the sea and the sky. And then we have Orla, which is a popular Irish name. Orla means golden sovereignty, so the sun and the stars. And all of those come together as an expression of sovereignty within, the Irish canon, essentially. And then, of course, we have Queen Maeve of Connacht, as well as this sovereignty goddess in Tara. We have Queen Maeve of Connacht in the west of Ireland. And what's really interesting about Maeve is, Maeve's story was written down by Christian monks in the medieval period. And no longer is she a sovereignty goddess. She is vilified almost as a woman with too much power, a power-hungry woman. And so I guess for this week then, tuning into the energy of Maeve. Yeah, just some guidance and some questions around, what does sovereignty mean to me? So what does sovereign power look like to me? And a guiding force in your own sovereignty could be to connect to these three symbols of the brown sovereignty of the earth, of the blue, the Gurmla, the blue sovereignty of sea to sky, more of that maybe moon energy. And then of the unconscious almost, and then the golden sovereignty of the stars and the sun. So having a little play with what sovereignty means to you, but rooted in the natural landscape, as Irish mythology always is. And then a second question, maybe to guide the week when we feel into, well, what does sovereignty mean to me? In order to understand what sovereignty means to us, we need to know who is telling our story, right? Because in order to embody sovereignty, the story has to be told from the inside out. And with Maeve, she didn't always, like when she became a warrior queen, someone else was telling her narrative, and yeah, like the work has been to reclaim Maeve's voice for herself as expressed through us. So, often it's the overculture, as Clarissa Pinkola Estes speaks to, that is telling our story, right? Not ourselves. And whoever tells our story influences how we express our creativity. So yeah, just who is telling our story and how do we want to claim that back, anchored into that sovereign power of Maeve, moving from the inside out and expressing ourselves in our sovereign energy, our creative sovereignty, essentially, in the week and the times ahead, and particularly in this polycrisis and these very we are in unsettling times, as we all know, and so anchoring into that sense of self, guided by Maeve, the truth of our own sovereignty, and moving out from that place and reclaiming our own stories for ourselves, what is my story, and what story am I here to express and tell through my very being, So I hope this is helpful. It's just a little experiment, as I said, of going live. And yeah, just wishing you every blessing for the week ahead and just feel into that energy of Maeve. She is incredible guide. And as a side note, years ago, before I had the Celtic Creatives, I had the Celtic School of Embodiment, and it was through a reoccurring dream of Queen Medb that actually got me. She kind of gave me a proverbial kick up the arse, basically, to start my own business around our mythology and the feminine and the body and the dream work and the creativity and all of it. So yeah, do let me know as well. I'm not very good at paying attention to, to what's happening while I'm going live. But if you would like more of this, do let me know because, I'm here for it if you would. Okay, my loves, wishing you well. And just thanks a million for being here. And just slán agus bannachtaí from Maeve.